Hey, it's Uncle Drew talking to you. Peace out once again. It's the freaky freelancer letting his freak flag fly for you, offering you tips and thoughts for food and food for thoughts. Um, and today, what I'd like to talk about is my top three tips for better in-house, as in internal corporate newsletters. Okay, number one, what I would say is, we get a lot of people. We have bureaucrats, people at companies. They write sort of business speak, blah blah blah. Okay, it's not interesting. If you are a copywriter who's assigned to help out or maybe copy edit an internal newsletter, staff newsletter, first what I would say is, as a former reporter, do some reporting and find out what's really going on at the company. Speak with someone who knows all the details about a specific issue, maybe that they want included in the newsletter, and in connection with that, make sure you show and not just tell, right? So get some specifics, make it interesting. Okay, so that's my first tip is that I'd say use a reporting style. It'll make it much more interesting for the internal people, the staff, the employees. They'll be much more interested if it's not just like, this is what leadership says. Or of course that's important, but you can also add a quote or give specific details that can make something important and make it more relevant to people's lives. Okay, number two, something you should not do, I think, for your internal newsletter is don't be too much of a cheerleader. Like, over the years, I've seen news items from people in various areas of a business, and they say, oh, we did so well, and then I don't know, somebody came to our seminar, and everybody learned so much, and they were so happy. Well, I don't know. Don't use a lot of exclamation points. Don't use a lot of false enthusiasms and sort of make things up that sort of halfway believable. Um, I think sometimes if you're too enthusiastic, it might not really reflect what's going on at the company, or whether it's really reasonable to be excited about a certain thing. So yeah, everybody had to go through a training, which maybe was like inconvenienced them a bit, because it something that they had to do, and then they also have a ton of work. So don't make up a bunch of false details like rah rah cheerleading, if you understand that. Yeah, that's my tip number two for better in-house newsletters. Stay away from the cheerleading and just don't use too many exclamation points. Okay, it's one of my pet peeves. Sorry. Anyway, tip number three for a better internal newsletter is, at the beginning of each sort of story or news item in your newsletter, make sure that you come up with some jazzy taglines for each news item. So basically, it doesn't even have to be a complete sentence. It could just be like a slug, or like like telegramming something, so that people get a general idea of what the news item is. And then, because nobody's reading, everybody's just scanning things. And so if it pertains to something that is important for that specific person, then they will go on to read the full item within the newsletter. Having said that, I would say also exercise a little bit of caution, because sometimes there are really, really important things that all staff at say a company of several hundred people should know. So you could also put that in your tagline, like, need to know for absolutely everyone, right? Put it in caps. I don't know. But anyway, taglines, I think, help people out and help them skim through the masses and masses of information that we're all deluged with in this day and age of the 21st century. When I wish more people were reading things, but fact is they're just not reading that much. Okay, so running through my three top tips. Do some reporting. That's number one. Number two, don't be a cheerleader. And number three, come up with some jazzy taglines so that you can capture readers' interests, or help them find the information that is most important for them. That is all for today. I'm going to put a very super sneaky little link in the description within this video. And what it is going to be a little story about a dog that I rescued last summer when my wife and I spent half a year in Portugal. The dog was wandering in a field in the middle of nowhere, and we just happened to he happened to poke into the gate. Anyway, it's a little story about him, and the reason I want you to read it is I'd actually count it up as one of my biggest successes because there are lots of stray dogs in that country, and someone was intrigued by what I wrote, and they, even though he's really old and was blind and couldn't even hear very much, he was successfully adopted by someone, and he's still living today, a year later. So I'm going to sneak that into the description. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on the ding-ding so that when there's a new video that I've put up on here, you'll get the latest notification. It's Uncle Drew talking to you. Thanks so much for tuning in to my freaky freak flag fly station right here. And enjoy the summer.